Sensory acuity, calibration. This you can practice rather than noticing the body movement like someone crossing their arms. What about noticing just the little micro expressions? You might notice muscles contracting in places, yeah? How much attention do you put on noticing the other person's micro expressions? How many people actually listen to people, but while they're listening, they're on their phone or they're thinking about something else? Yeah. NLP, we focus and study, and we have training on noticing micro expressions. One of the games we like to play is we will play it in pairs, and we'll have one person telling you truth, 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 or telling you truthful statements, and suddenly they throw a lie in there and they keep going, and you have to tell where the lie is. Or the person will tell you all kinds of different food they like and one kind of food they dislike. Will get out there and you got to figure out what food it is they dislike. Because when someone says, chocolate, avocados, bananas, tomatoes, baked beans, raw chicken, Fruit Loops, when you say something like raw chicken, I can't say that the same way I rattled off all this other food. So baked beans, tomatoes, apples, bananas, raw chicken, lollipops, ice cream. There's a particular flow of things I like and then something I don't like, which interrupts the flow. Now, you cannot teach this in a book, although the books can tell you how. Most of these books do not cover things like micro expressions, and you can practice this with anyone. Hi there, welcome to the replay of our after hours discussions with professional coaches. Your exclusive complimentary Sunday session for all of our community around the world, where coaching minds unite with our people to create real world results. I am Adrian Cahill, your host and founder of the Motivate community, and more recently, Monday Morning Motivation. As a global trainer in NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, coaching, and hypnosis, this weekly gathering brings some of my colleagues from trainings, my fellow students and coaches all together in one place where we can discuss, share, help change the world by delivering free, quality information that's here to help you transform. So I did have some training experience, but I came into the NLP to help make communities better. To make communities better. The more we have community, the less we actually need governing or government and control. But that's another story. When it comes to NLP, in coaching, it's a highly unregulated industry, highly unregulated. But there is one official coaching organization that stands out way more than the others. That's the ICF. So I've got a couple of qualifications listed there. The bottom one is ICF PCC. ICF has 3 levels, ACC, PCC, MCC, or 1, 2, 3. I've got the second level. To get that, I needed 2,500 hours coaching. They've since made it a bit easier, so there's a lot more PCCs around now. But anyway, I also got the graduate certificate at NLP, and that is one training that I do highly recommend, even for those that are trained or already trained by me or looking to keep going. That's been one of my most recent qualifications, a graduate certificate of NLP. There is only one in the world that is fully recognized by government and university, and that's it. I first learned about this through John Grinder. I heard John Grinder mention and spoke specifically about the grad cert of NLP over in Portugal. And I kind of knew a little bit about it, but after that, I jumped in and went through that program. I did my NLP through John Grinder, Richard Bandler, and a handful of the early creators, one of whom, I'm just going to share a little picture here, is Mr. Stephen Gilligan. Dr. Stephen Gilligan's quite famous in China. It's my third or fourth time with him. And we did a personal session here. It was absolutely mind-blowing. With this work, with this particular man that I was just doing in Japan, I flew all the way to Japan just to have 4 days with this guy. You know, I spent like $5,000 to be in the same room as him. It means something. But while I was there, I was everyone put their name in a hat, and I was one of the lucky ones that got the name pulled. So I had a private session with him, public session with him. And basically what he did was NLP, psychotherapy all together with labels irrelevant. Only thing that mattered was results. The results I got from that session in 90 minutes is pretty friggin' phenomenal. Pretty phenomenal. Pretty phenomenal, pretty wow. Like 90 minutes changed my life, sent me in a different direction. Not quite a different direction, just sent me, it was a new way of being. It was absolutely wow. But Stephen Gilligan's NLP is a lot greater. I posted that on Facebook, and Sid Jacobson, one of the world's best trainers, also commented like, "Hey, Adrian, Sid, yeah." And it's like everyone that's phenomenal in this field speaks amazingly of Stephen. And Stephen is someone that's been in NLP since the beginning. Some people that have been in NLP since the beginning, Tony Robbins, you know, speaks on stage in front of millions. Some people like Tad James made perhaps billions off NLP, who knows how much money. But everyone has their own different unique strengths. And we apply the NLP in very different ways. Stephen Gilligan has applied it deeply in being a psychotherapist. Yeah? Someone else can apply it in being a high performance coach. Someone else can apply it to being a therapist. We can apply this book, this gigantic category, this gigantic field. We can apply it to coaching. We can apply it to therapy. We can apply it to parenting. We can apply it to dating. We can apply this to a whole bunch of stuff, and we can apply it specifically to coaching. And in this session, we're talking about how NLP helps coaches be even better. So I'm going to focus a bit more on NLP being applied to coaching, not just Stephen Gilligan's transformational psychotherapy. We're not going to be looking at NLP applied to parenting, but I'm going to drop a couple of things as we go. So if you're a parent, I'm going to drop a few nuggets in here. If you're a psychotherapist or therapist, we'll drop a few bombs in here. And I've got some wonderful resources on the slides and in front of me. and Faith, wonderful to see you, Faith.
Hello, Adrian. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Oh, great for the connections. I just heard your voice. You mentioned me at that time. Just there's some connection issues. Great to see you again. I just found that today's event is hosted by you, so I think that I need to have the time because I haven't seen you for such a long time. I did miss you. I also missed our previous Motivate Shanghai. And I really hope that such a motivate events could be organized offline in Shanghai again.
Thank you. Faye has probably hosted maybe 100 events with Motivate and has helped hold, maybe 100 events. What, 2 years, Faye? 3 years, 4 years, 3 years, getting close to 140 events. She's helped host in Shanghai when we had our co-working space in WeWork way back in the day.
Yeah, every Tuesday in Motivate Shanghai at the West Nanjing Road, we have organized, as you mentioned, more than 100 weekly events to motivate a lot of people out in Shanghai.
Even Ray here came along. So guys, if you get to go to Shanghai, especially for an NLP student, yeah, we can connect together. We can work with Faye. We can put on a little event in Shanghai, bring a bunch of people together, some graduates and coaches, people that, and have an absolute wonderful session. All right, let's kick back on here. So the NLP, we can apply it to a lot of things, and I think I personally really need to apply it to using a Mac. And I have been applying it to using a Mac. Okay, can you see the correct scene, or can you see everything?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, can you see anything else, or just the picture?
No, we can see the program.
You
can see all the
program
things across the bottom. We can see all the slides.
So I've actually been using NLP to help me a little bit when I'm in a kind of a tricky, there we go. How about now? Is it sharing the wrong screen?
It looks like a garden.
Okay, let's try it one more time. And you're going to see all the rest of the stuff around it, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any notes. Okay, I might just leave it like that. Yeah. So you can see why this matters. It might seem like a paradox. I hope you can see the screen why this matters.
Yes, we can. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so this particular topic, this will help you if you want to get deeper results or faster results. And I say deeper or faster because they're often considered like a trade-off. If you want to go deeper, it takes longer. But that's not necessarily a true statement. You can get deeper and you can get faster. NLP and this workshop is largely to help you and see where you can go a bit faster, perhaps a bit deeper. Magic has a structure that we can't fully grasp. If anyone knows much about coaching, real coaching is magic. Person A and person B get together, and it's not 1 + 1 = 2. If you have one pile of laundry and you have another pile you add to it, do you have 2 piles of laundry? What happens if you add some socks to it? What happens if you add some more? When 2 people come together, the real magic happens underneath the radar, underneath conscious awareness. Is feelings and emotions are transferred, the unconscious dance. Often people hear about coaching and they attend coaching sessions, coaching webinars, with 2 wonderful, very well-known, very established coaching books here. And if you see these coaching styles or coaching books, Coactive is one of the world's biggest. This is another classic in the sense. If you hear a lot of these coaching books, they often talk about a conversation. And Darko last week shared about the GROW model. Right? Now you see my hands. I don't know if you can see me or things, but there's like a bridge. And the conscious conversation that we have is like the bridge. There is underlying communication. Yeah? Now, Karina here works with people that are stroke survivors. Yeah. Some people have gone through stuff in their life and they can't really communicate, but they can have their needs met. Yeah. So the person might not be able to communicate, but they can still get their needs met. Because getting their communication, their verbal communication is just a small piece of the puzzle. So a lot of coaching books and coaching programs in the Grow give you this conscious framework of GROW, GROW, yeah? Goals, reality, options, way forward. And it gives you a structure of a conversation. Great. It's wonderful to have a coaching conversation. It's wonderful to have this framework of coaching. But the real magic is underneath. Yeah? But the grow or the coaching framework allows the coachee to relax, knowing that there's a process. Yeah? And if the client coachee goes on it a few times, they get used to the process. And they don't teach this in coaching. But if you do this enough times with a client, they might even do this thing where they coach themselves. Coaching can also be training. If you take someone through the GROW model over and over and over and over again, each time you call, client says problem, coach says GROW. Client gets results, walks away. If this happens a few times, next thing you know, the client says, coach, I've got a problem. He does it all by himself. Yeah. And a few more times, the client starts to take themselves through the GROW model very fast. Yeah. That's a thing that's never taught or discussed in these books. Okay, so now we've got the overall conversation, which is great to get a grip, but most of the communication, most of the magic happens underneath the radar. Now, the very, very first book on NLP was called The Structure of Magic. The Structure of Magic. Volume 1 and Volume 2. And the gentlemen that were doing it were basically deconstructing. They were deconstructing what some phenomenal people were doing so they could come up with stuff like this. So the NLPers came up with books like this. In fact, a lot of these books may have come pretty darn closely. Okay. Our maps are generally unconscious. There are people out there that are great coaches, great therapists, great healers, but they just do their magic. Yeah? The magic, the maps is often unconscious. One of the people I were learning from had no idea what she was doing. Everyone said it was magical, but the NLP creators knew. They were like, that's not magic, that's systematic. They watched her, they figured out what she was doing, they told her what she was doing. So this lady had a phenomenal results in her coaching, phenomenal results in family therapy. The NLP has told her how she was doing it. And the next day she sucked. The next day she had to do workshops, and it was the worst workshops she's ever did. Because suddenly she knew what she was doing because they told her. Yeah. So there's a lot of great coaches and great people out there. They are great. They don't know how they're great. They just do great. Same like our problems and solutions. Yeah. So with the NLP, we bring an infinite amount of new maps. Yeah. Consider a map like a map in someone's head, a bunch of understandings. Yeah, maybe a map on how to live life, a map on how to do relationships. Yeah, we got lots of different maps. May have a cultural map, how we live in our culture. We may have a Zoom map, how we interact on Zoom. We may have a no one's around map, what I'm like by myself. We have various maps, but with NLP, we have an infinite array of new maps. We can reach out and we can access other people's maps. I mean, would you like to know how this guy thinks? So this is a particular map. This map is all about Albert Einstein. And the NLPers did great jobs analyzing the people like him. So we get a lot more maps. And I promise you, I'm working on a map to get better skills with using PowerPoint. Boom. Okay. I shouldn't cover this. NLP, okay, NLP is a study of excellence. Really, you can consider it a study of how we think, a study of how we communicate, a study of how things change, a study on how we live in the world. Yeah, it's a study on some people that have very successful maps and some people that don't have successful maps. It gives us a deeper understanding that the maps are not the territory, but by having a variety of maps, by having maps of various focus, the maps give us a very good indicator of the territory. It's like maps can show us, but they're not the actual landscape. Yeah? You don't drive to Disneyland. Imagine you're driving to Disneyland and you see a sign saying, "Welcome to Disneyland." You don't drive into the sign. You don't stop next to the sign and go, "Okay, we're here at Disneyland." Yeah. The sign is just like, Disneyland's there somewhere. If one person can do something, anyone can learn it. This is one thing we believe in NLP. Now, if you guys all play basketball and take basketball as serious as Michael Jordan, you won't get the same results as Michael Jordan because you don't have the same height, the same muscle build. Yeah? But there's a way that Michael Jordan approaches his basketball, and that you can do. There's lots that we can learn from Michael Jordan or the world's best coaches or Elon Musk, whatever you fancy. If one person can do it, others can. You might not necessarily be able to be as successful as Elon Musk or like this guy here, Rich Dad Poor Dad. You might not make that kind of much, but if you follow his book and you follow his materials, there's a fair chance you can end up like him. Yeah. Now, whether you've picked up this book and read it or not, we are always communicating. The last point here. We are always communicating. Can I see who in this room has actually read this book? Ray, cool. Yeah. Now, we can all pick up this book and read this book. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be millionaires. But if we read it and maybe a couple of other books like it, we may develop our own approaches. So the way I see it, some people here are already like natural NLP learners. Some people here pick a subject and they end up with 3 or 4 books in the subject and they may focus on the subject and learn how to do it. We've actually got a speaker coming up, by the way, who does like cryptocurrency and some other kind of stuff. It's a bit of a wild card for me. I don't know him personally. He's going to present here in a couple of weeks. So question for you. If anyone can pick up this book and read it, how come everybody isn't rich?
How come not everybody is rich?
Yeah, after they read a book like that.
Well, action behind it. There's action behind it. Reading is fine. Like, reading is fine, but you need transformation. You need to take action in order to transform.
So really good news for you. You can learn a lot of NLP and you can learn a lot about money making for free by getting these books and practicing what they do. Yeah. I believe in that. Yeah. But we need to follow it up with action. So NLP can give you the most amazing results. So can coaching, but it's got to be followed up by action. Now, a lot of the time, the initial reason I reach out and get this or I get coached, the initial reason is typically, I'm moving away from fear. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be tied to a job, so I grab the book. Other people may have other reasons, right? It's the same. Coaching's the same. We typically reach out because we have a problem, a pain point, and that pain causes us to reach out, call a coach, call someone, or bloody get suicidal and call a lifeline. I don't know. but we need to have the education and the practice. You can get phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal results with NLP, but remember what Karina said at the start. It's like, how far can you go? NLP goes such a long way. It doesn't actually stop. And this is one of the challenging things. It's actually not like a book with 30-something pages. It's not like a mind map where you've got these things and it's in this thing. It's like there's no edge. There's no edges. Yeah. There's a topic, eye movement, or EMDR. EMDR is well-known, well scientifically backed, well accepted in psychology today. EMDR, for example, it's from NLP, and they study the eye movements. Now, we cover basic eye movements, and you can learn very basic eye movements in a matter of minutes. But to make it an automatic habit that your unconscious does for you takes more practice and more practice. So some people will learn NLP and they think they've done NLP, and that's one of the number one giveaways when not to work with someone. If anyone has told you they've done NLP, they're not a good person to learn NLP with. They don't get it. Yeah? Because how can you be done? It's like I'm done drinking water. So it's not. No. So the eye patterns go out to EMDR, which is eye accessing cues. You can use this with your kids. You can use this with your partners. You can use it in business. You can use it anywhere. And you can use it in a coaching conversation. This is why we advise people to study NLP first rather than coaching. If you learn the eye movements through NLP and practice it, then you can practice it more with your family, your loved ones, and everyone. And when you have a coaching conversation, it'll be there. If you study something like coactive coaching, you'll learn how to set up the agreement. And setting up the agreement is a really important thing to do in coaching. It's not important after session 1. It's not important in therapy. It's not important in counseling. It's not important for a lot of things, but it's important in coaching. So that bit of information's pretty limited. Yeah. If you go to part 2, G, goals, if you learn that, it's rather focused in that context of a professional coaching arrangement. Yeah. The NLP you use everywhere in your life. The only limit is your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use NLP everywhere. You can use coaching inside of a conversation. So we tell people to study NLP. All right. Okay, so far we've only covered in this subject, we're talking about NLP and coaching, and we've only covered the basics of what NLP is. Any question or anyone like to add something now?
No.
I would like to say, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Darko.
I would like to say that NLP is approach which allows us consciously to communicate with our unconscious mind. So we are finding what is hiding behind what we are consciously noticing.
Great, thanks, Darko. I think I may have a little bit of that on a slide. May perhaps. There's a lot with the history of NLP, and I think I'm about to go a bit deeper on what Darko just shared in a minute. So NLP, we started in the 70s with Richard Bandler, John Grinder, and Frank. Now you may hear about Richard and John. You may hear Richard and John. That's cool. Yeah, and maybe there's more. Now Frank Kugelak, I think he had a girlfriend at the time called Leslie, and Leslie later became Richard's wife, and Frank ended up over in Russia. He lives in Odessa, Ukraine now. He does a little bit of training. One of the people that come on our training regularly is doing a bit of work with Frank, so maybe we'll be connecting up in future. But look, Richard, John, and then Frank, their wives, their girlfriends, some of the other students created NLP in the early 70s in California, America. And they started with modeling these people. Virginia Satir, who was like family therapist and amazing coach. Milton Erickson, psychotherapist, hypnotist, absolutely one of the most amazing humans on the planet, Milton Erickson. Now, there's actually a few Milton Ericksons. So we're talking the hypnotist one. There's a couple of others in the psych world. And Fritz Perls. Fritz Perls created Gestalt therapy. So if you ever hear of Gestalt therapy, and there are some people running around thinking they're timeline coaches or timeline therapy people, that's just part of what Fritz Perls and Richard Bandler developed. Now, these guys worked with these three models, but they worked with many more. That was the start of it. They got so much from them, and most of the NLP that you see is from those, but there are many more maps and models around. Some of the early contributors I like to mention, Leslie. Leslie is phenomenal, and right now, I think I'm reading like Leslie's second or third book, hard copy. Leslie Cameron Bandler, absolutely amazing. Judith Deloiser, she was married to John Grinder. Well, Leslie was married to Richard, or you know, they were together. Judith and John Grinder later split. So you may hear the men, and yet Richard Bandler, John Grinder, amazing men and phenomenal human beings. And by the way, John Grinder is 84 now. He is in great shape, great eyesight, great energy, and he can bounce around the training room all day long. Yeah, and he's in his 80s. Now, they also work with Robert Dilts, Stephen Andreas, Stephen Gilligan, Connie Ray Andreas. Apologies, I think I wrote Connie Ray a little bit different there. Connie Ray, Stephen Andreas, they're together. They've got a sister and a family involved in Colorado where they do 20 and 50-day NLP trainings. Robert Dilts, Stephen Gilligan, they're famous in China thanks to Stephen Gilligan's former partner, who's an amazing woman based in Guangzhou, and she's made Gilligan and Dilts' work famous in China. If you want to visit them, you're talking like hundreds of people at their workshops. Come along to the NLP training we were running. Yep. So there's some of the early contributors, and I always tell my guys, if you want to look at NLP and personal development, I suggest the early contributors. I suggest reading their books. And as Jay and a few others know, there's loads of other work that came out just after NLP, lots of it. And some people might talk about this modality or that modality, and a lot of it had originated back from these guys. There is some magic elsewhere. There are other people that have magic, but these guys deconstructed magic. Yeah. Once they were together running these classes, they kind of started with a small group. And if you could imagine maybe a bunch of students getting together every Tuesday night and another bunch of students getting together Wednesday night. And when all these students would get together, the NLP creators would use these classes to study the classes. And one time they're studying the class and they're noticing, someone noticed eye movements. John noticed eye movements. Yeah, they did hypnosis. They did all kinds of crazy things in these classes. And by the time the early 80s started, a lot of them had shot off and were spreading this training in other parts of the world, so all around the world. And then companies like IBM and Coca-Cola, the CIA, these kind of characters all hired the NLP trainers. Yeah, different ones. And yes, I did say CIA, and that is not a rumor. Directly, tell you who. Yeah, but back in the day, when these people were teaching it and first learning it, the trainings were largely 20, 30-day long trainings. Those that have done my training, it's about 10 days. Yeah, it's half. It's not even half, right? That do year-long trainings. It was big, and slowly it became shorter and shorter and shorter. Yeah. About 90%, I think NLP today is short courses, some as short as 4 days. Now, the sad thing is some people like Jay and Ray here, Darko, have got years and years learning NLP. And someone might say to them, oh, NLP, I know, my old neighbor did NLP, and they may have did a 4-day training and have no idea. Sadly, 90% of the training is on short courses, and it's a McDonald's style, absolute McDonald's style. So you're better off with a book like this. My book, no. You might actually be better off with a couple of books and a study group or a community like Motivate Community than doing a crappy 4-day NLP. Yeah. And if you guys go on coach training, if you go to a school that runs coach training, there's a fair chance they will say, oh, yeah, we do NLP in like week 1 or week 2. Yeah, a lot of coaching courses, they may say they do NLP and they just do a tiny smidgen, or they may sell it as a 4-day add-on course kind of thing, but it's a lot bigger than a 4-day course. And by the way, one of my first ICF trainings, ICF coaching school in Shanghai, thanks to a friend in HR, I went into ICF coaching, saw my first ICF coaches, all MCCs and PCCs doing their training, and on the whiteboard they were sharing NLP. Yeah. Anyway, there is still high quality training. There is still high quality training. If you do go on training, do feel free. A lot of people write to me and shout out to me, and I'm very happy to look over them. I am a big fan of the graduate certificate, and I'll share a link for that at the end. Okay, history of NLP. It is a big deal. They studied awesome people. This is kind of like an NLP book, but it's not, but it's close. So Robert Kiyosaki is looking at the mindset of his rich dad compared to the mindset of his poor dad and makes a bunch of defining beliefs. And from this, you come up with beliefs and strategies. So NLP is a way of studying people and coming up with beliefs and strategies. You just got to take your pick where you want to take it. If you want to take it to money, but if you do want to do a bit more NLP with kids, anyone that has kids, this book here, Teaching Excellence. Teaching Excellence by Richard Bantle. Absolutely phenomenal book for teaching children, adults, yeah, maths, spelling strategies, study strategies, curiosity strategies. Absolutely amazing stuff for kids in there. How are we doing? All right? Okay. So what I see is I see some people do an ICF coaching course. They call themselves a coach, and 3 or 4 years later, they still haven't got any clients. And I'm like, if you want to succeed as a coach, NLP will do a lot more for you than ICF training. Okay, let's see if I can. Okay. So one of the first things, continue. Okay, great. Button does not work. Sensory acuity, calibration. This you can practice rather than noticing the body movement like someone crossing their arms. What about noticing just the little micro expressions? You might notice muscles contracting in places, yeah? How much attention do you put on noticing the other person's micro expressions? How many people actually listen to people, but while they're listening, they're on their phone or they're thinking about something else? Yeah. NLP, we focus and study, and we have training on noticing micro expressions. One of the games we like to play is we will play it in pairs, and we'll have one person telling you truth, 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 or telling you truthful statements, and suddenly they throw a lie in there and they keep going, and you have to tell where the lie is. Or the person will tell you all kinds of different food they like, and one kind of food they dislike will get out there, and you got to figure out what food it is they dislike. Because when someone says, you know, chocolate, avocados, bananas, tomatoes, baked beans, raw chicken, Fruit Loops, when you say something like raw chicken, I can't say that the same way I rattled off all this other food. So baked beans, tomatoes, apples, bananas, raw chicken, lollipops, ice cream. There's a particular flow of things I like and then something I don't like, which interrupts the flow. Now, you cannot teach this in a book, although the books can tell you how. Most of these books do not cover things like micro expressions. And you can practice this with anyone. Just download any material on something like active listening, and on top of that, throw in noticing micro expressions, noticing the shift in posture, noticing the changes in breath. There are people that do breath work, and just through breath work, they pay a lot more attention to people's breathing. You can pay more attention to any of these and they'll help you be a better coach. If you're not trained in any of these, just pick one and study it. Be aware though, if you do study the breath patterns or the eye movements, it's going to, the first time you learn it, you get a bit of an idea of, wow, this is something that I could use. And you may also have the awareness of, oh God, I've been missing this information my whole life. I've been having communications. I've been having conversations with people without noticing breath patterns. I've been doing this. I've been having conversations with all these people and I was so unaware of what they actually meant because I was so busy listening to the words. Now, if you come to that awareness, that might propel you enough to keep going deeper. Or maybe you want to become an expert, so you practice. But if you actually go and practice it enough times, it will start to become more and more automatic. We say our conscious can hold 7 plus or minus 2 bits of information. Our conscious can hold a little bit. So if we put a little bit of attention on noticing their eye patterns, we're going to have to consciously try to do it. But if we consciously try to do it maybe 10 times in a row, the 11th and 12th time, it may happen automatic. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, we have to consciously try another 10 times and then stop. And when we unconsciously start to monitor their eye patterns, monitoring the eye patterns becomes something the unconscious does, and that frees up that information. So someone like Tony Robbins, he has fully embodied eye patterns. He's fully embodied recognizing breath patterns, He's fully embodied disc and spiral dynamics. Whenever someone stands up with a question, Tony Robbins takes note of their expressions, their posture, their breathing, maybe their eye patterns, right? And straight away, he'll run disc and spiral. Person shares a problem. Tony's already run it automatically through 2 different models. He already knows what the results are going to be. It's probably a problem 1, 2, 3, or 4. So he asks one question, boom, knows what it is. So someone like Tony Robbins, his core skill is just NLP, but he's just kept doing it. There's Stephen Gilligan, who I was just with in Japan. He just kept doing it. Stephen Gilligan got into NLP when he was 19. Him and Robert Dilts went to study Milton Erickson, and they were left there. So the NLPers took these 2 19-year-olds down to Milton Erickson and they left him there, and they spent the next 5 years until Milton Erickson died, I think, studying through him. The hypnosis part isn't mentioned much in NLP. Takeaway that you'll not see on a slide and anywhere. The real magic, as I said, happens underneath the radar. Milton Erickson was on it. Milton Erickson welcomed in John Grinder, Richard Bandler, welcomed them in. Welcome in Dilts, recommend Gilligan, whoever else was there came in, Andreas. Milton Erickson welcomed them in. Now, Milton Erickson, remember he had polio? He was like not just wheelchair bound, but he couldn't move his body for years. Just gradually he had a tiny bit of movement. One morning he said, I'm not even going to attempt to throw out his voice or anything, but Stephen was just saying, like, Milton had been in self-hypnosis for 5 hours to reduce his pain enough so that he could go and do psychotherapy so that Dilts and everyone could kind of study him and do the work. So Milton did 5 hours of hypnosis that day on himself to reduce pain. Now imagine if you don't have use of your body, but your brain is still functioning. Imagine you can see your sister, your mum, your little dogs, but you can't talk to them. But you can see them, but you can't talk to them, and you can watch them. Milton Erickson watched, and from the NLP side of the house, it looked like he had developed amazing skill with his eyes in paying attention, sensory acuity. What wasn't mentioned in the NLP was how deeply Milton Erickson was in touch with that greater conscious or unconscious. Now, you might say he's unconscious, you might say super conscious, you might say the world. So Milton Erickson had an uncanny, incredibly deep relationship with the unconscious. Probably not just his body. Now, if you know a bit about your body, when you create tension somewhere or when you block energy, you get swelling, you get muscles, it's blocking. So the idea is tightness and relax. When we relax, more energy flows. If we have blocks, tightness, energy clumps in our body, we don't have good access to our body's intelligence. Dis-ease. Yeah? But now if your whole body is limp and there's no tightness, you actually get more, I think you get more of a supercomputer or a superconscious. So Milton was plugged into something really deep. So if you want to practice something, maybe self-hypnosis. Getting yourself in deeper and deeper states. Getting yourself in really deep states so that when things happen in life, like a tragedy with your dog, or a dating challenge or something, we want to be able to meditate deeply or connect deeply to ourselves and the pain and feel it and process it ourselves. Process it in the belly and kind of digest it so that with hypnosis, we can actually handle that stuff and maybe we can go in and do some of our own work. Maybe we don't have the skill. Most of us don't have a skill, so we use NLP and coaches, but I'm saying this specifically for your coaches out there, specifically for you guys. We want to get deeper and deeper connection to our belly or our center. Yeah. Some people say the heart. After all my years, I don't advise people to connect like to your heart. I say connect to your belly. If you do it a few times, you'll know why. Connect to your belly, not your heart. And just quickly explain, okay, here's one definition why. You've all seen a seesaw? Seesaw, like, right? Yeah. What happens when there's a fat kid on one side? Boop. Yeah. Consider that fat kid my fat brain. My fat brain. Yeah. So I got a brain on one side and someone says, come to the heart. Where's your heart? Heart's just here. So if you got someone who's brain heavy and in their head a lot and they come to heart, yeah, if they make the heart the primary focus, you're trying to get the brain to focus on this thing here. And within a couple of breaths, you work your way up. Yeah. If you go down to the belly, I don't want to say your root chakra, but if you just go down to your belly, take your attention to your belly, and there you go. So imagine the seesaw, and someone says, go to the heart. If I'm on a seesaw and I go on the heart, I'm in the middle. The seesaw is still like that. But if I go to the belly, then it evens up. Yeah? So go to belly first. Try that. I had a lot of meditators struggling, and I struggle with meditation. That's one reason I did NLP. I heard all these people saying, go to heart, but every time I go to my heart, I was back up pretty quick. Go to your belly. After a little while, where are you? You're in your heart. Ooh. So you're having a fight with your partner, your girlfriend, the kids, your boss, wherever you're having struggles, bring it into your belly, and you digest it in your belly, and then you find yourself in the heart. Naturally. If you're pushing yourself to go in the belly, you're going to have resistance. So if you push yourself to go into the heart, like, get into your heart, and you're fighting it, you're just going to stay up. Yeah. Hope there's a little nugget or two in there for you. Any questions? Anyone throw in?
That was very good.
Thank you. Years of learning with different teachers. Okay, the second great thing with NLP, so let's say the first great thing is that sensory acuity, being extra excellent with the physiology of the person. You may see somatic coaching and somatic therapies become more common. It's like a bit of a buzzword. Our graduates, we've been doing somatic work the whole time. The sensory acuity is great for seeing in the body. Now, if I'm coaching someone, let's say I'm coaching Karina. Stay there for a moment, Karina. If I'm coaching Karina using the character model, Karina, can you think of a really fun time when you've had amazing fun with friends, dancing, perhaps?
Oh, yes. A couple of days ago, actually.
You can see that clearly on her face. You can see it clearly on her face, and you can see the way she moves, yeah? We will not go there. We will not get into it, but we could just as easily now relax. We'll go back to the screen. With Miss Karina, we could very easily talk with her, and if we pay good attention to her body, we may actually, if we pay good attention to her body and we talk with her, her body will talk more than her mouth, and her body will give us the answer quicker than her words do. When I do somatic coaching with people, I ask a lot of questions, but most of the answers I'm listening for happen before the person speaks. I can see the difference in their body before they speak. After the body stuff, we get all the linguistic stuff. NLP is well known for this Meta and Milton model. They basically studied language. We've got two models that we use. Meta, which is going beneath the structure. Yeah. So you have a problem with your cat. Okay. Well, what specifically is the problem with your cat? Or when specifically? How specifically? How specifically? When specifically? We use all these questions to get to the deeper structure beneath. Yeah. When NLP discovered the meta model, it was big and they thought this is amazing. Any problem you have with people, if you want to, pick meta model, and whenever someone gives you a problem, just ask them all that how, what specific problems, and chunk right down onto what the problem is. Okay? We call that chunking down and getting more specific. We also can go up, and we call up, rather than getting more specific, going up is getting more abstract, more vague. And we call that the Milton model. because it started with studying Milton Erickson. So the Milton model was all about using language patterns to go up in a level of extracted or becoming more vague,
Mm-hmm.
and accessing more of the unconscious. For example, you guys have a problem, or you guys have had a problem before. And you know that sometime before this session, you were thinking about some problem.
Mm.
And I don't know if that problem was about people or people were involved in it, but it was a problem nonetheless. And because there was a problem before, it means there's going to be a problem again. And knowing that you're going to have problems in future, wouldn't it be worthwhile to know how to handle the problems differently? Okay. So pretty vague, handle the problem differently. Yeah. With NLP and these languages, you can focus on the meta model and get very specific with what problems are, or you can be artfully vague. Now, you can use either with an individual. If you're using coaching, we might use more meta and chunk down specifically on what the problem is. We may chunk up and find resources, unconscious resources like resilience. And if you could imagine, we might go Control C, copy resilience. We might come back over to the problem, get back into the problem and go Control V, paste. Put the resource in the problem. How's the problem now? Oh, the problem's better. Great. Well, we might go in to the unconscious and we might get another resource like more humor, more jokes. Control C, copy, bring it over here. Control V, paste. Put some humor on top. Yeah. So we add in those resources to the problem and take the person through. Milton model, also fantastic if you're working in groups or if you're a yoga instructor. Milton model is absolute dynamite for yogis, any kind of group fitness class, any kind of teacher. Day-to-day teacher, Meta and Milton. If you're a yoga teacher or something like that, Milton. And if you are a yoga teacher, let me know. I've got a 10-page thing I made up specifically for using hypnosis with yoga or yogis. Yeah. Great coaches use both the precision of the meta model and permission. Permission is like permission from the client. Permission ecology. Yeah. Because sometimes someone has a problem and it's good to be precise on what that problem is, but there's a purpose for it and there may be a secondary gain or something with it. So you might not actually have permission to make the change and they may not have permission to make the change. And permission can come through using the models. Yeah. Some people get enough permission when they hire a coach. A lot of people actually hire a coach and they get great results straight away. There are people that will go to a Tony Robbins seminar or a coach and straight away they'll get amazing results. Sometimes that's because they actually know the solution, they know the problem, but they don't have enough permission. When they hire the coach or hire the Tony Robbins, they pay, and then what happens? They get permission back. Oh, I've paid $5,000. I deserve the result now. Yeah. It's like someone that, if someone wants to quit smoking, but they don't really want to quit smoking, and they go to a quit smoking person, but they don't really want to quit. They go, they sit through, they don't really want to quit. They're there, but they don't really want to quit. So the therapist doesn't have permission, and the person is like, nah, yep. So great coaches, we do need to get precision, but we need to get the permission. If you end up coaching someone and they don't want to be coached by you, don't coach them. Just have a friendly chat. See where you can get permission. Maybe you can get enough permission just for a chat. All right.
Mm.
And by the way, when you see Tony Robbins on stage, he's giant. So he's really big and he's looking down on the people. Everyone's looking up at him. There's a natural thing that happens there as well. Maybe it's more authority than permission, but he looks big and is daunting. Yeah. And I just wanted to throw that last comment in there about the dynamic relationship with time.
Dynamic relationship with time? In what sense?
Time is something, all coaches want to do a couple of sessions on your relationship with time. How do you actually relate to time? And this time is what makes things like karma and yoga and past lives and that trivial, manifesting trivial. It all becomes much more trivial because we've got the element of time. Yeah, time comes into play in many ways. Time and space. Space is important too, you know, because most things have presuppositions of time and space in them. But if we look deeper at time, how we handle time, how we relate to time, and a lot of the times people will say things like they're not ready, and a week later they'll say they're not ready yet. So what do you mean? If you hear someone say they're not ready and someone says they're not ready yet?
At some point they will be.
Yeah, the yet it throws
the
a time.
yet means at some
Yep.
point.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Boom. So just a small thing to listen out for is how the person is relating to, and time is one way we can measure that. So you don't want to do a session? Cool. Do you want to do a session next week, next month? You want to have a review in 2 months? 2 months. It's okay, you got your answer. We only have 24 hours in a day. So I highly suggest we all look at the way we handle our time. There is a book, I don't have it right here, Steve Chandler, Time Warrior. Time Warrior is a pretty cool 4-hour book. It worked the magic for me. There might be better. Time Warrior. A great concept some people have is it's kind of like there's all these filing cabinets and they're worried about which filing cabinet is in it. Imagine 20 filing cabinets full of amazing stories, full of amazing lives, and you spend all your time trying to figure out which filing cabinet to open. Just open the filing cabinet. Basically, the time warrior or some of that is make sure you enjoy what you're doing now. And it's a bit like Eckhart Tolle, but a more versatile spin on it. Eckhart Tolle is great. It's great to be present and now, but in reality, we have the function of being able to consider the past and the future. So it's not a matter of being 100% present. We want to think about the future. We want to think about the past, but we want to do it skillfully. The past, we should learn from the past. Make sure we can learn from it. Hold the lessons, let go of all the emotional baggage. If you are holding emotional baggage from your past, you are holding energy blocks. If you want to live longer, drop all the energy blocks you picked up over the years. Right. Okay, so with the language, NLP's got the best for it, and I'll share that book. So with some books, like Albert Einstein here, sometimes the NLP has modeled people like Einstein, Jesus Christ, Leonardo. When they modeled these, they came away with the language patterns, and they're often looking at the language patterns and trying to ascertain the beliefs and the values of the model. So you may like to become more like Einstein or someone to pick up a behavior. If you want to pick up a behavior, the language, what they say, and the first slide, sensory acuity, what they do, those two are a great indicator as to what they are thinking, what's unsaid. Language patterns with the sensory acuity, or even with the acuity of the language pattern, the language patterns give you far more accurate information as to what's happening in the client's head or in the model's head. NLP gets you way deeper inside their head. Of course, as a caveat of that is be careful if you get into people's heads. If you do go to work deeply and you jump in other people's heads or you jump in other people's headspace, make sure you wash your hands before and after or use a condom. We talk about using skin. Like we want to use protection if we're jumping into someone else's mindset. So if we were going to study Milton Erickson, who had polio, or Albert Einstein, we want to prepare ourselves beforehand, get our unconscious to protect us so we have the protection of our unconscious. A brief thing there was it Heath Ledger in the movie The Joker?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely amazing movie. So the Heath Ledger, he became the Joker, right? So if you're ever going to do a modeling project like that, we've got to make sure we protect ourselves first. I think I have a brief slide on modeling. Okay, that aside, NLP is where you learn about anchoring. NLP is where most of anchoring came from. Explicitly focused on anchoring. NLP will help you develop more skills in accessing and skillfully navigating emotions. You can see emotions, you can develop emotions. You guys, no, I don't really have the desire to do it. What, you may see someone doing this. What does this mean? This is an anchor for me, for whole brain thinking. This is an emotion. This is an anchor. Thumbs up, yeah? You could even say yet. I'm not ready yet. Yet is an anchor. Does yet have an emotion tied to it? Not really. But the yet does have an emotional attachment to it. When someone says, I'm not ready yet, that yet attached to it, that yet is a simple little word, yet. Yet. And it ties an emotion to it, perhaps a bit of hope or a bit of one day. With our NLP training, I hope you guys remember the circle of excellence. Who knows circle of excellence? Right. I appreciate the circle of excellence very much. With Sid Jacobson, we did a problem. We did it like a circle of problem, or I should say a circle of solution. He has excellence stack, which is all geared around problem solving. And on our training, we do a circle of excellence where we have several states, like a high-performing states, content-free, and we make a stack of excellence. We teach someone how to access this state on command. I can see Ray in the room. Ray, you can keep your microphone off, man. You ready?
Yeah.
What does this mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I know Ray actually has a higher heartbeat right now, and he'll actually have the chemical fix of the that comes from that. Because 10 or so years ago, he already had a bit of an anchor there, but it was a bit weak, but we made this strong and we practiced it numerous times, and we have some great ones for a lot of our students. If I call up some of the students and clients, I got one client, as soon as I call him up, he starts yawning. Every time I call him up, he starts yawning. I'm the anchor for him. I'm the anchor for him. We've done so much work, so many states. As soon as I call him up, his body, his nervous system starts to drop. Within a minute with me, he's back in the calmness. Now, after a couple of minutes, we might get worked up again. But every time he has a call with me, he'll just start yawning. And you'll see a lot of us here when we do hypnosis, the yawning and stuff will start. Now, could just be tired. Anyway, there's more than that. Children. There is an incredible chain of anchors for children. Children will often struggle with learning. So imagine a child does maths. What's 8 times 6? Can't do it. You know, the child may go up and use his eye language, right? But the kid can't do it. So what happens if he can't do it? I can't do it. Crash, crash, crash. What instead you can do for your kids, I'm going to pull up, it's exactly as Richard describes it. So instead of having the kid go, I can't do it, crash, and I've taught this to my kids, this is what my kids do. So rather than crashing, they go to frustration. From frustration, I move them to hesitation. From hesitation to impatience. Impatience to curiosity. Curiosity to desire. Okay, that's a tad long. I'll give you my shortened one. So my kids, I teach my kids anchoring. We have something called problem, schoolwork, an F. We put the F on the ground. My kids come up to it. I don't like that F. Straight away, the kids have the repulsion from the F. Yeah, now a lot of kids might see the F and they'll shut down. What I teach my kids beforehand is, here's an F, kids, and I put it on the ground. Kids come up, they don't like it, so that's right. Now, this is what we're going to do. You see the F? I want you to take 2 steps back. 1, 2, take a breath. Slow down. You're okay. You're safe. Another step. Think. Bigger picture. Think. Bigger picture. Do I want to really do it or not? Yeah, I do. Okay. Step back again. Curiosity. I'm curious how I can do it. Step back again. Get ready, which is the impatience. Get ready. And then we go. Go. And we run back around to the start. We walk around. We run around to the F. And we're ready. Yeah? Then I do a distraction. Oh, God, my hair's falling out again. Sorry, where were we? We do a distraction, and I run my kids through it again. Okay, there's the F. Yep, 2 steps back. It's okay. I'm good. 2 steps back. Bigger picture. Curiosity. Curiosity. Yeah, I think I do want to do it. There's a way. 2 back. How to figure it out. Oh, get ready, go. And we run back around. Oh, my hair's falling out again. Sorry, the hair down. Break state. Now, just quickly. So what we have is we have an unresourceful anchor, the F. And the old strategy is, I'm not good enough. I hate it. The new strategy is to step back into this state 1, step back to state 2, step back to state 3, step back to state 4, run around in the start, yay, and do it. Yeah? Then I have the break state. Repeat the process. Now the break state makes it go one way. The break state makes it go from one way. So I get the negative anchor, an F, or whatever the negative anchor is, and I'm teaching myself to step back. I'm okay and loved. Step back, slightly higher, bigger picture. Do I want to step back? Curiosity. Yeah? So what do you think will happen when my kids have a problem like an F?
They won't get discouraged.
And they will come running back around thinking, I know how to do it now, or I'm ready to go again. Yeah. So that's called a chain, and that's a chain of anchors, 3, 4, or 5 of them. And I set them up, and I've got plates, and each plate has curiosity or anger, and I use all these plates, and I run it out, and I teach the kids. This should really be done from the masses in my school, but I'm just a trainer. I teach it to the adults and run it to kids.
I want you to be my father now.
I'm starting to get that dad energy.
Yeah, that's good, actually. Very good.
Sadly, the old fuckboy energy is wearing off, and now I've got dad energy. Did I just say that out loud? Okay, so anchors are amazing, and we use them all through different kinds of change work. And if you consider the grow model, if you consider the coaching models are often a series of states. But because the person hasn't studied NLP, they often don't know it. When you go through the coach model, or if you're ever doing a TEDx talk, yeah, woohoo! What you want to do is you want to look at what emotions and what emotional anchors are through your presentation. Yeah, if you want to see a great TED talk, go look up Bill Connolly, the comedian. His work is just like a chain of anchors. Good comedians use lots of anchoring. You want to practice anchoring? You want to practice NLP? Just practice anchoring. There we go. That's better. Okay. Yeah. Reframing. NLP basically created reframing. With that, I'm going to skip forward one. No, I won't. I've got a belief here specifically on reframing. Reframing beliefs, you do not get any better than NLP. The only thing you get better than NLP is this book, Sleight of Mouth, or Sleight of Mouth 2, by an NLPer, Robert Dilts. Robert Dilts wrote the book on beliefs, and that's going to come up soon. I'll show you something for that. Modeling excellence is from NLP. So if you can remember, they modeled these phenomenal people, not in that order. You could actually model ICF MCCs. If you want to be a transformational coach, or if you're inspired by Tony Robbins, Tim Grover, or someone, if you're attracted to a phenomenal coach and say, I want to be like that coach, consider modeling them. Consider modeling them. Do not do modeling if you're not well trained in NLP. I would probably advise not to worry about modeling unless you're a master practitioner of NLP or on that journey. If you have achieved NLP master practitioner subject, if you have achieved that level of skill or qualification, I hope you're doing your own modeling projects. I hope you're doing your own modeling projects. I mean, you want to have more fun in your life? Be a comedian. Model a comedian. You want to have more charisma? Model someone with loads of charisma. You want to be a better leader? Model a leader. But do it as a modeling project. Refresh your NLP that way. About modeling. No, I'll skip that. If you do want to see some NLP in action, we have a phenomenal webpage, and we actually have this. Zoom, you lied to me. Apologies. Zoom and Mac. Yeah. Can you see the Motivate Community YouTube?
No?
Okay. Oh no. I overestimated my ability to use Okay, I won't share with you guys now, but if you like to, you can visit our YouTube channel, YouTube Motivate Community. We have all kinds of demonstrations in there. It's not a very popular channel because it was started for our community. But if you look up there, you can find videos of us doing anchoring and collapsing anchors. This is like when someone's had a lifelong problem and you kind of make it crash in 10 minutes. We got videos of that. We got videos of hypnosis. We got all kinds of cool things in our YouTube channel there. And I personally have developed, Darko, can you get the website link? I think it's adriancahill.com/resources or something. Grab that one, the one where it's got the free tests, if you can get that. I've actually developed, and one thing I was looking at with NLP is I've been looking at the money mindset. So I specifically applied some NLP on how to make money, but doing it for the good of the community. So not doing it to fill my own pockets, but I've been curious about financial mindset. And I read all these kind of money books growing up as a kid, but now I actually work with a bunch of millionaires, and I look at their mindset compared to what we're taught. On the link Darko is going to share, you'll find a bunch of my resources, and on there is a financial test. It's got, I think there's 10 beliefs around money. You might want to make sure you have them because they're the most common beliefs of the millionaires I work with, ethical millionaires. Also on that link, you'll see a relationships test. I spent a couple of years studying enlightened relationships, and self-love, and this kind of stuff, and I made a similar test around love and relationships. So those two tests are kind of give you all a mindset and a marker. I think you can also find there a way to do some of your own finances, and there might be a meditation in there as well, and it's a meditation / hypnosis to get rid of a few money blocks that most people have. Yeah. Again, it's useless if you don't use it. So if you do the test, do it, put your email address in there. Yeah, I get a copy, but don't worry. It just goes to like it stays on the website or something. But if you put your email address in there, you'll actually get a copy of your results. And then a month later, do it again and see if you change. Yeah. What's measured is managed. So those tests are designed for you to get an idea on where your beliefs are in regards to love, relationships, and then the money. So you measure it, you put your email in there, 1 month later or 2 months later, do it again and check your results and compare your results. If more and more of your results are leaning towards you're loved, you're fulfilled, you're good enough, you're skilled, you can do it, that's will allow the real results to manifest in real life. If your beliefs are in check, the real world can kind of deliver it. But if your beliefs aren't in check, it won't. It's like when people win $1 million in the lottery, they end up losing it fast and going back to where they are because their identity hasn't caught up with them. And by the way, if anyone here ever gets imposter syndrome, congratulations. Imposter syndrome. People should be saying congratulations and buying people drinks when they hear that. Oh, you have imposter syndrome here. Congratulations. Here's a cup. Why? I don't feel like... Because the world is obviously saying you're higher and you're currently believing. Congratulations. The world thinks you're up there. Now, get up there. Couple of final things. The NLP can help us get faster breakthroughs, deeper change. It can deepen our understanding of conscious and unconscious worlds. The unconscious world is absolutely amazing. And by the way, we'll finish up in 7 or 8 minutes. NLP will help you get a much deeper understanding of the conscious and unconscious world. NLP, we just use conscious and unconscious. conscious. Yeah, our conscious is that 7 or a little bit of information. The unconscious, I'm not going to limit that to your body or my body. Maybe our greater conscious is around us in an energy field. Maybe it's bigger. I don't know. But we have what we're consciously awareness and what we're not. NLP, as I mentioned, 90% of it is the weak one, but the creators, Richard Bandler and John Grinder, kept developing. New code NLP is phenomenal. That's what we do with our training. We're a lot more influenced by John Grinder. And if you see the graduate certificate, that's blessed by John Grinder. Generative NLP is also what we do. That's a bit more of the heart-centered, constantly growing. Stephen Gilligan, Robert Dilts, they've got a generative change community. Now, I want to briefly share this one with you guys. 4 things about beliefs you may or may not know. All beliefs are limiting. All of them. No matter how empowering they are. Yeah. All beliefs rely on a hidden structure. All beliefs are either a complex equivalence or a cause and effect. All beliefs are context bound. Yeah. I believe I'm the greatest NLP trainer. In this room. In this room. But what I'm not saying is in this room now. If I say I'm the best NLP trainer in this room now, that's different. And beliefs feel real because of the emotion, and it's really tricky, but some people end up going with the wrong beliefs because it feels a certain way. Anyone want to ask any questions about them? I thought it might be a useful bit to add in. The second one, right? All beliefs have this underlying complex equivalence or cause and effect. Now, when our client comes to you, they don't normally say, oh, I've got this limiting belief. If a person just talks about their problem, you'll hear the limiting beliefs. When I started, I would use a pen and I would write out some notes, and then I would make a mark or change color, and I would write out their beliefs, some of the beliefs that stood out for me. At the end of the session, I might have 10 limiting beliefs. What I would do is I would figure out which belief would probably knock all of them off, or what belief is going to change multiple beliefs. You know, we chunk up on a higher belief and we change that. Beliefs are incredibly easy to change. Anyone at master practitioner level, you shouldn't have that much skill in crushing, changing, updating beliefs. Beliefs are a piece of piss. The trick is finding them. But beliefs are really simple, and you can get really good and confident with them. If you can't, just reach out, get a book like this, Sleight of Mouth, or grab one of the NLP books. You can get really good with beliefs. You can change them all really fast. Coaches need a coaching conversation. As an NLPer, there's a lot of ways you can design one. I mentioned the graduate certificate. That's the website there. Could you show that in the room too, Darko? nlp.edu.au. I had studied with John Grinder, Richard Bandler, and a bunch of others, and I still got so much value out of doing that program. I don't do practitioners and master practitioners anymore. I may at some time, if someone else is doing one, like if any of you guys need a co-trainer, holler out. I don't like to sell practitioners and that much anymore, because the graduate certificate is so much better. I haven't seen anything better than this. It's like a 1-year-long program. You go through it at your own pace. I jump on the phone with Amy Elise every now and then, and I take her through something. I jump on the phone with the different students, and I don't make as much. Actually, I don't make anything, but I am supporting. I don't make a cent, but I am going to support and keep encouraging this nlp.edu.au, because it for me is one of the only ways we can improve the NLP, like on a greater whole, is by actually saying, no, look, my certificate is graduate certificate. Look, it's just the Australian government logo there. It's ASQA level 8. Yeah. But if you don't, just keep coming here. Yeah. Great. Our last slide for tonight. For anyone that has been experiencing some pain recently, congratulations. I'd like to toast to anyone's pain. If anyone's experiencing difficulties later, really, I want to toast to it. And this last quote with Ellen Langer. Ellen Langer is one of the most senior mindfulness people around, and her experiments are quoted a lot. Her latest book, pretty darn incredible. And what she's been saying more recently is putting your attention on uncertainty and the things that change. If anyone is sick, especially for people like Karina, it's a matter of if someone's in, I don't know, whatever stage of the process, we want them to pay attention to what's different, not what's the same. So someone's got a lot of pain. Okay, well, great. What's different today? Where are you feeling a little positive change? Where are you feeling a little bit, finding that positive change and growing that. And great. Slowly share them all. Just one more. My bad, boy. I don't know if anyone's ever read the whole thing. What is it, 300 and something pages? 304 pages. 300, that's my manual. That's my Kitties on the Beach. Yeah, Kitties on the Beach. So 303 pages there. Thanks, Bernadette. And there's still more that I haven't put in there. Now, a lot of the NLP processes are short, so some of these processes are 1 or 2 pages, and it can go so far. There's so much more to NLP, guys. The last time I learned some new NLP was this morning. It was about parenting. It's about looking at your child, and now look at your child compared to 2, 3 other kids that are the same age.
Mm-hmm.
Now compare your kid with 2, 3 other kids that are slightly older. That's it. See what happens then. So that was around NLP parenting. Learned this morning. Yeah, we got to keep going. And look, Bernadette here, she used to own an RTO, like a full registered training organization over in Mauritius, and she studied NLP. Still studying it. And I saw a Carl Rogers the other day, or a book by him.
Yes, on becoming a person.
Yeah.
And he's the mentor of one of my mentors.
I think it was Stephen Gilligan mentioned him.
Yeah, and they are the same era. And what I really like with his work is that, like NLP, it has passed the test of time. His book is now over 60. There's no gimmick. There's no who. And actually, Josh is an NLP practitioner, and Josh is opening his own school. Right now, NLP, yes, and we're doing NLP for carers, support workers, and allied health professionals, starting in Canberra, and then the world is his oyster. And and he just published his first book, and he's working on his second book that will be published around his birthday. And this is really all about NLP. He was in Bali last year, was it? Or 2 years ago?
Yeah, last year.
Remember? And now, and maybe you'll get to see him. You want to come and say this, Josh? Can I? Yeah, I say.
And Bernadette, one thing you said before, we left out time. So the books I'm recommending and holding up, this is like a 90s book kind of thing. The books and the authors, we're talking stick to the original creators, or like Carl Rogers, but these authors, the books are 30, 40 years old. Persuasion was refused by the booksellers for 5 years, and Tim Ferriss, 4 Hour Work, it was refused, and then they became bestsellers. Meanwhile, Simon Sinek became a bestseller in the year 1. Don't go for the great marketing. If they have a lot of great marketing and great covers, it might be lacking substance. So just wait a few years and see what authors like Carl Rogers, the ones that have been around for a long time, they've stayed around because they got the foundations right. And Bernadette, you're going to add a bit more about Josh? Is he going to come and say hello? I saw him before.
Wants me, I'm he's a slave driver. You know, yeah, he's laughing. He's the boss. Yeah, his message is he's currently working on going on a book tour. So starting in Canberra, then New South Wales, Wollongong, and possibly, wherever he goes. So this is what he'll be doing now for somebody who, on paper, is illiterate. And then China, so the book that he wrote, Hawaii, where else? Dubai.
Oh well.
And yeah, so anyway, thanks so much everybody for your support. I think it's over a year that he did a keynote here.
Yeah.
April last year. And then we disappeared because he was so busy in the back, in the how do you call it? A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And writing his book.
Yeah.
Good. Great to see you, Josh. Just briefly, Mark, if you're there, Mark might share. He's going to come on next week. We had Joshua here. We've had Bernadette here, Jay and Karina. Karina is going to be sharing in a month or two. Mark, you want to share a quick minute or two about your great event that's coming up next week, this time?
Yeah, so next week we'll be talking about migraines. So natural treatment for migraines. They're typically very difficult to treat. So if anybody, there probably aren't many people in your program who have migraines, but if anybody knows someone with migraines, you might either refer them or tune in yourself to see if you can pick up some tips on some natural treatments that you can share with your friends.
Lovely, Mark. Lovely. All right, Karina, I think you're in the next month. I'm not 100% sure exactly.
No, I'm on the 27th at the end of the month.
Yes! And I think I'm going to be your wingman, or maybe Darko will be your wingman for it.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
Me too, Karina.
So, guys, just want to final little thing to wrap up. Being with Stephen Gilligan again, that time in Japan was phenomenal. Whenever I had a question for him, I never had to ask a question. He would just start to talk the answer a minute later. Yeah. And the thing with his magic is I think Stephen Gilligan, what he's doing, like the structure, he's going deeper than deep. Like it's very easy to do a Tony Robbins style. Oh, you have a problem with X, do Y. Just on that kind of level. Yeah. It's easy to work one or two levels down where what Stephen Gilligan is doing in the form of psychotherapy is he's getting down, and you might say to the heart of the matter, he's going down and in, and he's getting closer to the trauma a lot quicker, right? So we know most people have the trauma, most people have the childhood, so pretty quickly comes a question like, and it's pretty close or guarded. So the way Stephen Gilligan's working at the moment with this process, and this process was supervision more for therapists than beginners, but I wanted to share anyway. Really chunk down to the parent, whatever it was, the abuse, whatever the root was. And the root would typically be wound up really tight. And for a lot of people, it's so tight that they've got maps and identity built up over it on this solid core kind of traumatic experiences. And the way Stephen is kind of doing it is he's getting down to that, where it sees a lot of NLPers are going more for a layer. It's kind of getting beneath all the layers to what's at the real bottom of it. And once we get down to the bottom of it, no coaching. No coaching. Just kind of sitting there with it And because of his skill, or perhaps our skill as coaches or as psychotherapists, the psychotherapist's skill is to be able to hold that emotion. And remember the coach we were doing? Centered, open, aware, connected, centered. Yeah. H, hold, able to hold. So he has a deep ability, and we have, and I've got a deeper ability to hold that core pain and to just hold it. We don't need to coach on it. It's just to hold it. Now, as a psychotherapist, my skill in holding the pain is a lot better than most people, so I can handle the trauma. Now, when my client is sharing the trauma, he can't handle it. Hence, it's tied up roundly, right? And it takes a lot to break through. But the thing is I can handle it. So now I'm with him and I can sense it or feel it. This can't be put into words, but we could try to put into words. Look, Adrian's closing his fist on one hand and the other hand is open. We can try to put into words, but essentially it's being able to hold so that they can use our body, they can use our system, or their unconscious can kind of plug into our unconscious, yeah? So we can handle it. And I remember having, I think it was like day 5 in men's psychotherapy work with a gentleman called Robert Masters. Robert Augustus Masters is one of the greatest in men's psychotherapy. And he asked me about my trauma. And I was like, I don't really have much mum and dad stuff anymore. And I did have something, but I was downplaying it. And what he would do was a similar thing, where he was like, hang on, that's a pretty decent thing. And I was like, no, it's not. It's only small. He's like, that sounds like a pretty decent thing for a 5-year-old. That seems like a pretty decent thing for a 5-year-old. 5-year-old me was like, well, actually, from that perspective, yeah, that was hard for a 5-year-old to hold. You see? So in all my NLP, I was kind of going on top, and I was getting a little bit out of it, like some of it I was getting out, but this 5-year-old trauma was still largely there, and the coaching and stuff was largely going on top, but the 5-year-old was there because the trauma wasn't there, but the trauma was there, but the 44-year-old Adrian was rationalizing it, saying it's only a small trauma, but it was still there. Yeah. So if you want to try it, I highly encourage psychotherapy. But if you don't have a psychotherapist, I wouldn't even worry about that kind of thing. What I mean to say is, I'd love for everyone to try going deeper in their own work. Go deeper in your own work, deeper in your own healing.
Boom! You made it here! Good on you. Make sure you click the subscribe button below and check out the playlist at the end. If you'd like to come along to our Sunday sessions where we host a live, free Q&A for our students and members, you're welcome. I'll see you there.